Happy draft day. I just got finished watching the first round of the NFL draft, and I gotta say something. First off, it was shocking. There were a lot of surprises. It started off really slow. I felt like it was pretty predictable. You had your obviously Caleb Williams, you had your Jaden Daniels, you had Drake May, 1, 2, and 3. No trade ups, no nothing. But from there, that's where the draft really got interesting. So I want to go through and talk about some of the most surprising first round picks and things that happened tonight. We got to start with Caleb Williams. No surprise here, but we just got to talk about how he's walking into the perfect situation with the Chicago Bears, because not only do they grab him, they got Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift in the offseason. They still have DJ Moore. But then at their 9th pick, they double down and draft Rome Odunze, one of the best receivers in the draft, and give Caleb Williams just another weapon to get situated with and to really drive the Chicago offense. I'm honestly racking my brain about what are the best situations a rookie quarterback's ever been put into, and I think that this situation with Caleb Williams has to be at the top of the list. All they have to do is add a little bit more depth to that offensive line, but they can do that in later rounds. Caleb Williams is going to ball out. I feel like he's got to be the huge front runner to be Rookie of the Year, because look at the situation. Him and Rome are going to kill it. You got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, and if you're Chicago, are you finally going to have a franchise quarterback after all these years? I'm excited for you, and this is a real, true change of the franchise situation. And this draft also, it was just kind of crazy in terms of quarterbacks. I feel like every season we talk about all these quarterbacks, and usually a couple fall out. You have people like Will Levis last year, he fell to the second. So that usually is what happens. Not this year. You had 6 quarterbacks in the top 12 picks. You had Caleb Williams to the Bears, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, Drake May to the Patriots, Michael Penix Jr. to the Falcons, J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings, and Bo Nix to the Broncos. This was a heavy quarterback-focused draft, but it was just an offensive draft in general, because you had 14 picks in a row, 1 through 14 being all offense. So it was just offense, 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 offense. And then you get there at pick 15, there's finally a run of defensive players. Almost every time there's at least 1 or 2 guys that pop up from the defense. No, this was all in on quarterbacks, all in on offense, and all in on wide receivers. And it made for a very entertaining draft so far. But I think everybody can agree that where things really got interesting was the 8th pick in the Atlanta Falcons. Now, they just traded for Kirk Cousins. And you would think, and I don't think anybody was predicting, that the Falcons were going to pick a quarterback. That just didn't even cross most people's minds. You signed Cousins on a 4-year deal for a lot of money. You assume that they're going to get him some weapons or add to the defense that really needed a pass rusher or a cornerback. But no, instead, they go with quarterback. And actually, I have a video of a live reaction from a few Falcons fans across the world.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
But again, they traded for Cousins. It's a win now move. But what did they do? They also draft Michael Penix Jr. at 8, which first off is a stretch to a lot of people. It's not like they're getting Caleb Williams here. And just look how much money they're paying Kirk Cousins and they're on the hook for. So if they cut him this season, $90 million cap hit, they're not going to do that. But even if they cut him next year, $65 million, or the year after that, $25 million, the earliest it would make sense to cut him would be before the 2027 season, after 3 full seasons, and they'd still take a $12 million cap hit. So in reality, Michael Penix Jr. is being drafted as a backup quarterback. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, unless they are truly worried about Kirk Cousins' health because he's coming back from that injury. So that's an expensive quarterback, and not only that, all their young talent right now is growing up together. They got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, they got Kyle Pitts. All these guys are ready to win now. They need to win now, not 4 years from now. When Jordan Love was drafted to the Packers, Aaron Rodgers was towards the end of his contract. He didn't have nearly this much dead cap. He was still a good player. And Michael Penix Jr. is an older prospect. He's going to be 24 years old this season. He had 6 years of college experience. So that means by the time you could get rid of Kirk Cousins will be 3 years from now. He'll be 27 years old with almost no play experience. So why wouldn't you go all in for 3 years where you have Bijan Robinson, a running back who also gets a lot worse later in his contract. So you want to maximize him now. You want to maximize Drake London. You want to maximize Kyle Pitts. This coaching regime's not even going to be able to see Michael Penix Jr. play based on what's happening on the roster unless Kirk Cousins is hurt, which then the whole trade was a terrible idea in the first place. Atlanta, That was shocking. That might be one of the worst picks I've ever seen in my life, and it has nothing to do with Michael Penix Jr., the player. It's more the situation of why would you trade for Kirk Cousins if you're going to do this? It doesn't make any sense. They should have gotten him more help on offense or tried to get something for that defense. We go to another quarterback, Bo Nix to the Broncos. This one is very interesting because Sean Payton finally chooses his quarterback, a guy that was very accurate in college. But Drew Brees, he was also kind of an accurate guy, especially at the end of his career where he didn't have the arm strength to throw it downfield, and he was dinking and dunking, and he was getting those quick, accurate passes out. So maybe Sean Payton sees a little bit of Breeze in Bo Nix. Maybe he sees something there. And at the end of the day, Sean Payton has kind of been seen as a quarterback whisperer, so I'm not going to doubt this pick by any means. Not only do the Broncos get Bo Nix, but they also box out the Raiders from getting a quarterback, so it's a win-win for them. Speaking on the Raiders, I think they are probably in a good spot with Bowers and maybe get a quarterback next year. And if you're a Broncos fan, you haven't been excited about a young rookie quarterback in a long time. Actually, let me think. Let me think about it. Let me think. Oh yeah, it's been since Tim Tebow, and Bo Nix should be a much better quarterback. Excited for the Broncos, and it just makes them a much more interesting team to watch. And I appreciate that. I love having teams that are a little more interesting after the draft. You get 6 rookie quarterbacks in the first 12 picks. All of a sudden, all these teams that might have been mediocre to terrible to watch now are way more fun. Rookie quarterbacks are always fun to see what's going to happen to them. And then another thing that really shocked me from tonight's draft is the Chiefs trading up with the Bills to draft Xavier Worthy from Texas. First off, the Bills, they need a wide receiver desperately. They are in dire need of a wide receiver. They don't have Gabe Davis anymore. They don't have Stephon Diggs anymore. And right here is Xavier Worthy, a speedster, a fast receiver that set the record for the combine for speed. And what are you going to do? You're not going to take him, which fine. If you think that you can get a receiver later in the draft or there's somebody else you want, that's totally fine. But you're going to trade with the Chiefs of all teams and let them jump up to draft a receiver? That's crazy. You guys are supposed to be rivals. There's supposed to be an arms race to see who can take over the AFC. And this is the team that has kind of stolen your Super Bowl opportunity in a sense, and you're going to just give up the opportunity to get a receiver, or at the very least, stop them from getting their receiver. And if you look at this draft, first off, Chiefs, good on you for doing this, and you got to be aggressive because you don't know what's going to happen to Rashee Rice, and you've been trying to fill this Tyreek Hill void for a long time. And what is Tyreek Hill known for? Speed. And what is Xavier Worthy known for? Speed. So this is a great fit, and if there is any coach in the NFL that will know how to use Xavier Worthy, it's Andy Reid. Because first off, you can look at Tyreek Hill, just take that playbook out of the trash, put it back in place. You literally take your Tyreek Hill routes, put Xavier Worthy in there, and that's a good starting point at least. This isn't the first time that Andy Reid has done this. He had Tyreek Hill. He also drafted Deshaun Jackson to the Philadelphia Eagles. So he has 2 different times where he has used speedsters and gotten the most out of them. Xavier Worthy is almost guaranteed success based on his landing position and the situation overall. If you're Josh Allen, you're looking at the Chiefs and you're like, this is exactly what the Bills should be doing for me. We just keep losing assets. You have an opportunity to get me a guy. What are you doing? And you're going to give him to Patrick Mahomes, my arch rival, the guy that beat me in a coin toss to send me home in the playoffs? What are we doing? That's crazy. Bills, I don't understand the rationale there. All right, so yes, first round, insane overall, but let's look forward to round number 2. There's a lot going on with the 49ers. They've been shopping Brandon Ayuk. Now we're hearing Deebo Samuel might get shopped. I didn't realize that Jaden Daniels, the number 2 pick for the Washington Commanders, has been in college for so long that him and Brandon Ayuk actually played at Arizona State together. So in reality, they're friends. They'd still talk. Even Jaden Daniels talked about after he was drafted how they still talk. And the 49ers are trying to get rid of one of their receivers. It's pretty obvious, especially now because they drafted Ricky Pearsall from Florida, a wide receiver, at the end of the first round. They don't feel like they need to keep both receivers or that they can pay both Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. It's just too much money on the books. That's why you bring in the cheaper rookie. But I also think both of those receivers, in my opinion, are good, but not elite. They're good receivers. But if you trade for one of them, you need to not only trade assets, but then you also have to pay them top dollar versus a lot of these receivers. They keep saying this is the best receiver class we've seen in years or if not ever. Why wouldn't I just take the rookie contract? That's exactly what the 49ers are doing. Washington has the number 4 pick in tomorrow's second round. So I think there is a real good chance that maybe there's some sort of second rounder, switch picks back and forth. All of a sudden, Brandon Ayuk is brought to Washington. Jaden Daniels knows him already. He's played with him before, so it gives him someone to lean on while he transitions to the NFL. That's not a bad idea. I actually really like that for Washington. Even if you are paying top dollar for him, instead of giving him a rookie at this point, second rounder, Brandon Ayuk's ready to go. In this case, I think that makes a lot of sense. So that's something to keep an eye out in the second round, and I'm curious to see what'll happen. So thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments below how you feel about your team and what they've done in the draft so far. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.